I'm just saying, it's one of the, like, you're smoking burnt paper now, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the Amazon basin comes to mind. It is made. It has a cigar twisted up, and that is its band, and that sits about at the beginning of the last third, and you're supposed to smoke through that band. It is made to smoke through that band. However, like, you know, the Southern Draw or even your Rocky Patel, they have paper bands, and you just end up smoking the paper. And I can, to me, I usually can tell when somebody's kind of a novice when they just start smoking through the band, because either they don't know or they're not paying attention or something of that effect takes place.
Usually you can tell when they're not paying attention, because when they draw on it, they'll be like, oh, well, I got to take the band off.
I would agree. Oof. I just got my white pepper bomb in there.
Oh.
My spices came out.
Okay. Because
my spices came.
Bomb generally means bad.
Well, the spices, you know, I'm down to about the middle of the second third, and the spices hit my lips for sure. It's very good, but it just, you know, like I said, cigars are made to change.
Are you still getting the flavor profile you was looking for?
Yeah, 100%. The cedar started coming out a little bit more.
Mine, I can tell the sweetness of the tobacco is actually coming through, which transformed it to like almost a sweet coffee espresso, but I still get the earthy tones to it. So it's still smoking really good. And
that's good.
I'm a burn line guy, so I take my cigar and I hold it upright so I can look at the burn line. If I look at the burn line and it's razor sharp, I can tell it's like aged just right. It's not overage, it's not underage, and it's just a very thin black line, like if a woman was to do her mascara on her eye. That's how you kind of want to see it. So it's burning very even.
I took my poker because I was starting to have a hard on my cigar, and I poked it, and now it opened up the airflow, and it was starting to get hard to draw. And if your cigars are getting hard to draw, I've done this before when I was new. I had the toughest time drawing one certain cigar, and I don't even remember what the cigar is. I can tell you what the band looked like, can't remember the name of the cigar. I was drawing on it, and I was drawing every 3 seconds, trying to like just keep this thing lit, but it was such a tight draw that I actually ended up throwing up in a buddy of mine's backyard because I got such a nicotine buzz from trying to keep that thing lit and trying to draw on it. It was like sucking a golf ball through a garden hose, man. It was bad. But, you know, at the end of the day, and I'll say this is probably, I believe this is our last due. You know, you gotta enjoy your cigar your way. You know, there's people who like punches. There's people who like deep V cuts. There's people who like straight edges. I have a guy who bites the end of his cigars off. That's how he likes to smoke them. Hey, you want to do you?
Yeah, whatever he wants to do.
I was reading an article about Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, one of the gods of smoking cigars, if you will. You know, he went to a lounge and he was getting ready to smoke on his cigar, and the guy took it out of his mouth. Now, the waiter taking a cigar out of Arnold's mouth, man, that dude's got some balls on him. Yeah. Because man, you take a cigar out of Arnold Schwarzenegger's mouth, like I would be ready for a punch if it was me. But the guy took it, he put some tequila on it, rubbed the tequila on the cigar, dipped the end in it, lit it up, and put it back in Arnold's mouth. And ever since that, and that's how Arnold always smokes his cigars. Now, I've had people try this and tell me, I have not personally tried it, but I've had people try this and they're like, it doesn't really change the flavor of the profile of the cigar. All right, fine, whatever. But you know, there's people that they'll take cigars and they'll dip the tip of it in where they cut it, and they'll dip it in whatever they're drinking, and they'll smoke on it and see if it brings out any different flavors. Some people, I would say more hardcore, tend to see this as bad, whereas I see this as, you enjoy it your way, bud.
Well, yeah, there's so many. I've watched so many videos on proper cigar etiquette and different things, and everybody has their opinion of how you should hold your cigar between your index finger and your thumb, and you should hold pinkies out or whatever crazy apparatus that they want to put on the end of the cigar. It doesn't matter. The whole point of smoking a cigar is to sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you want to socialize, it's better to socialize when you're at a lounge. you want to, like, what we normally do is we will hook up on FaceTime and smoke together so we can chew the fat and just talk about the cigars that we're smoking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, essentially, there's no really wrong. Well, I can't say there's no wrong way. That's not a fair statement. But
nope.
If you're enjoying the cigar, by all means, I guess there is no wrong way if that's the way you enjoy your cigar.
Hey, listen, man. If you want to put the lit into the cigar and try to inhale that way, then you go for it, bud. I'm not gonna say nothing about it. I'm just gonna sit back and go, interesting.
Enjoy your cigar.
Enjoy your ash.
I'm gonna enjoy mine this way.
Right. All right, so there it is. There's our 10 do's and don'ts, cigar lounge etiquette, cigar etiquette, if you will. So on this podcast, we're gonna sit there and we're gonna talk about cigars for a little bit. Obviously, it's this is what we're all about. But at the end of the day, this is called Leadership of the Leaf. With that, unless you got anything else, you want to jump into our leadership segment?
Let's jump into the leadership segment. All
right,
brothers and sisters of the leaf, it's time to throw in some leadership.
Absolutely, and this is leadership that I feel, that we feel, transcends anything. This is, you don't have to be, I would say that you and me are decently high up in our respective areas, middle management, if you would, that I would say these tips that we're going to try to share are, can come from anybody. What we're going to talk about is if you're going to walk the walk, talk the talk.
Right, which is valuable, because I'm pretty sure everyone had a boss or someone that's been in charge, and they absolutely have no clue of what your job really is or how
100%.
To do the job that you do.
Yep.
So it makes no sense for a leader to try to lead someone that has never done the job.
To me, I'm kind of facing this right now. My boss is coming in and he's implementing a whole bunch of new processes. And in reality, he's not really implementing new processes. He's giving the old processes a new name, right? And so he's trying to implement all this stuff. He's trying to change all this stuff. He keeps saying, you guys got to do better. You got to do this. You got to do X, Y, Z, whatever the case is. And, when I sit down and I talk with him and I said, what do you mean we have to do X, Y, Z? Have you ever seen us not do X, Y, and Z? Have you ever seen us not complete, our production, our whatever that we got to do? If your job is to produce widgets, right? And you're producing the widgets and your boss comes in and say, hey, you got to produce the widgets. Okay, cool. Thanks, boss. I'm already doing that. That also goes with, if the guy's going to sit there and say, the boss sits there and says, hey, it doesn't matter what rank, position, whatever you are, if you're going to, even the highest ranking person could take out trash, and then you ask him to take out trash because you're busy with something else and he scoffs at you, he ain't really walking the walk that he just told you to do. So that kind of, that just is a trait of a bad leader, an insincere leader, I would say.
I would agree. I'll share an instance personal of myself. I was in a shop. We worked aircraft. We worked on the aircraft as a whole. Then I got moved to a different station, to where now I'm working on just the engine of the aircraft, which is a total different concept. Still using tools, but it's still kind of like a different beast. So instead of walking in there, kicking over buckets and trash cans saying I've run this, what I did is actually went to each section for a little bit each week until I learned what each section in that shop does to produce that widget, instead of just running like I own the place. Yes, I've had the experience of working on the whole aircraft as a whole, but when I got to the new shop, I had to learn all over again. Yes, I knew what the end result was, but I didn't know how they actually got to the end result.
Right.
So I took my time and pretty much learned the way of the shop before I even tried to implement any kind of rules or any kind of guidelines that will help out.
I've sat there where I've come into a new place and, I have great ideas, right? They're all of my ideas are obviously great. I can't do any wrong, of course, just ask my wife, but But it goes against my nature. But you gotta pause and say, okay, these guys have been doing this for well before I got here. Let me figure out what they are doing. Maybe they are doing the thing that I want them to do, but there's just holes in their process where they're letting something slip through. And then I just need to figure out a way to patch those holes. I always commend leaders for coming down. I respect the heck out of anybody who comes down in the weeds with the lowest person and says, let me figure out. That's why I like Undercover Boss, right? They figure out what it actually takes to run their company and what they have to do to make their company succeed. And maybe they find out like, oh man, my IT system is garbage. Maybe I need to get a better IT system in here. Maybe you find out that you have a single point of failure, and that guy is an old dude in his 80s that's just holding on for retirement or something, and he's your single point of failure because he moves too slow and he's holding up the whole production train. So you go, well, let me get him some help. Let me have him train some other people so I can get this moving. It just sometimes it boggles my mind. I read a story where this guy wanted to take leave. He wanted to take vacation over Christmas to New Year's, that week between Christmas and New Year's, and that's what he spends with his kids. And he saves up all his vacation time throughout the year and takes those vacation days. Well, he was working on a project or kept requesting info. They never got it to him, and he goes, well, I'm going on leave, so you guys are going to have to figure it out. And he couldn't figure it out, and his boss said, yeah, we're going to deny your leave. He goes, nope, I quit. And he quit. And then his boss was like threatening him and trying to get him everything and trying to get the guy back. And the guy was like, no, I'm not doing it. So finally the client contacted him directly and said, hey, what's going on? They're telling me that you fake quit so you could hold up production. And the guy explained to the client and said, here's my prices for coming back. I want basically double the pay and all of this stuff. And they said, you know what, we'll hire you at double what you requested. So he got quadruple the pay, and if you can get this done by this date, we'll pay you double your double pay, so your quadruple pay for us. And if this all works out, we'll try to get you a job for working for us directly, so we never have to go through that company again. And I was like, and that's one of those things where I'm like, man, if you have a single point of failure, you as a leader have failed.
Yes. I'm actually kind of experiencing that now. There's some pretty high-ranking individuals that I don't know if they know where the rubber meets the ground, so to speak. My boss, who is higher than everyone I'm talking about, is making phone calls and Skype calls and then asking me questions. And then, of course, I have worked every single section here, so I was able to give her the correct answers. But the people that she was calling on the phone was not giving the correct answers. Yeah, my boss, I don't think, has worked every section. She was smart enough to communicate with someone that has worked every section, that has a clear understanding of how the widgets are being produced, so to speak. If you can't walk the walk, at least have the decency to talk to the people that have walked the walk. Right. Learn and educate from those around you instead of just doing what they call armchair quarterbacking.
Yeah. Yeah, and for the listeners out there, I guarantee you're already sitting there shaking your head. I know almost everybody's shaking their head going, well, I know this and my boss doesn't know that and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's great that you know that. Are you communicating with those around you and trying to make them better and they just don't want to? Or are you holding all that information and trying to be as stingy with that information as you want to be or as you can be? Because man, I gotta tell you, if I have one person that's holding all the information, I'm gonna fire that person and I'm gonna get somebody in there who's more of a team player.
Yeah, definitely. And knowledge is power, but when you hold it all to yourself, then you're not really walking the walk and talking the talk. So if you walk the walk and talk the talk, it will be seen. You will be respected. Not only respected by the people that are over you, but you will 100% be respected by the people that are under you, because they know you been through what they've been through already. It's not just I think. No, they will know because you have walked the walk and talked the talk. Yeah,
absolutely. I ran into that actually. Last night we had some quality assurance comes through and we got a couple dings on our record from people who told me that it was all good, and I had already released everybody, so I said, you know what, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to fix it because this is ultimately on me. And so when my boss called me and said, hey, explain to me what happened, I said, hey, I tried to set these guys up for success. He goes, well, did it get fixed? Yes, sir. I fixed it myself. And he was like, oh, okay. I said, look, man, this is my bad. This is my mess up, my fuck up in all reality, because I didn't double check quick enough. And so this is my fault, but I fixed it, and the people who messed it up will get dealt with.
Well, that's perfect, because you was able to still do the job, do the task at hand. So you're not one of those dumb guys that's going to call everybody back in when they're already home, sitting at their dinner table, ready to eat. And they're like, I got to go back in. So once you take care of responsibility when they get back, you'll be all right. You got to do some remedial training.
Yeah. Yes. It will. Yeah. That's a lot of remedial training this upcoming week to ensure these things don't happen again. Because it's usually the small things that get overlooked, right? The big things very rarely get overlooked because they're so big. It's all the small things that end up catching up with you. But I would say, and maybe this will be something for a future time. If you do the little things right, do the small things right, the big things will take care of themselves usually.
That's true. Being able to walk the walk, so to speak, being able to perform the task at hand, you know all the intricate details of the possibilities of the little things that they looked over or that they could have missed or that they just decided to skip on their own. If you was one of the leaders that have never walked the walk, then you wouldn't have known that. You would have just took the write-ups. You would have just took the disciplinary action on yourself, and it wouldn't have went anywhere from there. But because you walk the walk, you're going to be able to communicate exactly what's going on when everyone returns. Yeah,
exactly. And it's just one of those things that, I see a lot of leaders, they they try to walk the walk and talk the talk, but they also have that action word disconnect.
Yes.
Hey guys, we're going to take care of you because of, by doing X, and then they're doing Y, and you go, wait a minute. I was prepping for X. Well, that costs too much. Whoa. I needed X.
Talking out of your ass.
Yeah, so you got to make sure that, if you're going to say something, you got to do something.
It's all about the know-how, walking the walk and talking the talk. Because if you can't do either of those, then you're full of shit.
Yeah, and everyone's going to see it. Everyone 100% will see it.
Oh, it eventually will shine.
Yeah.
And listeners and Austin have seen it. I have seen it. Everyone have seen it before, and it's just
if you haven't seen it, they talk about you. We talk about you. If you haven't seen it, we talk about you. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. Either that, or you really young in your industry, and you're just naive and don't know anything yet. Well, I shouldn't say anything. You don't know everything yet. So, and educate yourself. Never be afraid to get your hands dirty. Learn the people who's under you, learn their jobs, and learn the people above you, learn their jobs too. So that way, if somebody's out, you guys can you can make sure that everything gets done still, and you can make sure that, hey, if I need to fill in for a guy or a gal who's out, whether they be below or above, you can do it, and it's gonna flow seamlessly, and everyone's gonna see it. But if you're not doing that,
well, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, in a faraway place to where management was upset with all the worker bees. Now, I was mid-management. I wasn't necessarily a worker bee, but our bosses wanted us to sweep the whole office. They wanted all of the lower-ranking people to sweep the office clean because they was tired of seeing the dirt everywhere. Now, everyone grabbed a broom and started sweeping. I went over there and I grabbed a broom and I started sweeping too. The look and shock on everyone's face of me helping lower class, lower ranking, lower whatever underlings sweep the floor was appalling by almost everyone, including the lower ranking to the higher ones that told us to sweep the floor. Now, there was a few others that was in the same level of management that I was, just standing on the sideline laughing and talking while I was sitting there sweeping with everyone else. I showed that I was able to walk the walk because I want to make sure the mission is accomplished all together. We all had the same goal in common, and it just shines with greatness to show how much respect I have for everyone that was below me, and it kind of thumbed my finger up at the ones that was above me. to show them that I'm not above pushing a broom. I'm not above of this remedial task that was set upon everyone. I'm right there with you, man. I'm in the trenches.
Yeah.
Let's make this happen.
You know, I remember in a similar instance, actually, when you and me worked together, there's an individual, and she would grab brooms and mops at the end of the day, because that's what we had to do, was sweep and mop the floors. And she would always tell the underlings, if they tried to grab her broom or her mop, she was like, what are you doing? Go grab a different broom or mop and just help me. I don't need you to take over for me. I'm not above this. Just go grab something else and help me get this done so we can go home at the end of the day. We're all still on the same team.
And I think a lot of upper management over time, they forget that. That's when they forget how they walk their walk, how they talk their talk. So every now and again, it's maybe you need to nudge me every now and again. Be like, hey, Dice, remember when? Like, oh yeah, I got you. And I'll be right there.
100%. I have zero issues doing anything like that myself. So definitely one of those leadership lessons that when I was coming up, you know, everybody wants to make it to the upper management or some sort of management level, so they don't have to do X, Y, or Z that the lower rankings, lower underlings have to do. Well, that's great. Don't forget where you came from, though.
That is a big problem, where people forget where they came from. I mean, just a month ago, I was just like you, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, when you promoted, it doesn't mean that you're above all that stuff. It just means you got different responsibilities, but that doesn't mean that you can't help them out. So,
all right,
it's a great thing. But how's your cigar, man? Because we're getting down to the last third.
My last third, I can actually taste the black pepper coming through. I'm not a huge pepper fan, but it's not overwhelming. It's just the right amount to touch on that sweetness to kind of balance it out at the end. And I also can tell that all the other flavors that I had at the beginning is coming through near this last third, which is common amongst cigars. It's now piling up in this last third, and it is smoking wonderful.
That's great. Yeah, mine is that cedar's coming through and the spices are coming through. I lost that espresso a little bit, so I'm getting a little bit heavier spices. I say spices. And when I say that, I mean more like white and black pepper. And I'm getting that cedar, kind of a little bit heavier cedar, not too heavy. The spices are almost overpowering everything else, but because I can feel it on my lips. But
I like the sound of that.
It's very it's very good. It's very, very good. I enjoy this cigar quite thoroughly, and I look forward to, you know, obviously I love this cigar, so I have zero issues smoking it again.
So just a quick little recap. We talked about the do's and don'ts. Don't be that guy. Don't be an asshole. Enjoy the cigars pretty much your way. We also went over a bunch of not a bunch. We went over a leadership topic of walking the walk and talking the talk. I'll say what we're going to try to talk about on our next episode is maybe we'll have a discussion about cigar bands, maybe storage, and then we'll have a leadership topic of why everyone needs deadlines. I'm not going to get into that now, but I think that's important. Everyone needs deadlines.
You know, these guys, anybody who's listening, I say guys in a very generic term, you know, guys and gals, everybody who's listening, if they have a topic that they, you know, man, I really got this question, or hey, I really got this leadership issue, like how do I do X, or how do I do Y, or you know, whatever the case happens to be, let us know. We're here for you guys. We like to talk. We have I would say we have a breadth of experience,
plethora of knowledge.
Yeah. You know, and we enjoy each other's company. We enjoy everything. We enjoy talking to everybody. You know, and this is just something that we wanted to start. We wanted to get out there and start helping everybody. You know, there's nothing out there like this that I have found that talks leaderships, talks cigars, and you know. So if you guys got something, let us know. We are gonna make sure we have online presence to make sure that you guys can pass everything to us. But let us know, and we'd be happy to sit there and talk with you guys.
Yeah, there's no topic, leadership topic, cigar topic, whatever you want to bring up. If you want to bring up something that's off the wall, we got you. Just hit us up, let us know. I'm setting up a MeWe page, and we're going to try to get a blog started too to coincide with our podcast. Yeah.
We'll try to set up an Instagram and everything else, so that way we can, you know, enjoy the time, make it a little bit easier to find us on social media. So that way, you know, everyone uses social media these days, especially with the metaverse coming, according to Mark Zuckerberg.
That's someone that can talk the talk, right?
Don't get me started.
All right, I mean, get started.
Well, I mean, just as an example, of talking the talk, walking the walk. Did you hear about Blizzard?
No.
So they they had a walkout actually because all of their management, people described their culture, their work culture, as a frat boy house, right? And that's not what you want. So those leaders, even if they were trying to, hey, we're trying to make it better, we're trying to make it all inclusive and everything else, and that's the generation. Especially with COVID happening, everyone's focusing on, hey, I want flexible hours, I want time off to be with my family, especially with COVID, flexible work options, all that sort of stuff. So if you guys are going to offer that stuff to people, man, you have got to actually follow through. I can't stress that enough, because otherwise you're going to end up having people that are just going to leave, because my generation, especially we call ourselves the millennials, my generation, and Gen Z, who's right behind me, they want things to be able to, make the mission. They're going to make the mission happen. They have zero issues with that, but they want to be able to do it on their terms.
I've noticed that. I agree with you on that. Thank you for listening to the Leadership of the League. The comments and opinions expressed by the host or guest do not reflect any programs that may broadcast Leadership of the League. Thank you for listening.
Thanks.